How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got a very good video for you today. Dallas, you want to tell them what we been brewing here for a few weeks now?
So guys, we got the 4AG running, really mint, doing good, but it's low power, you know, and I like to be different and I like to be difficult. I like my problems. So I picked up a 1JZ, 1JZ non-VVT. We're gonna do a single turbo on it, keep it under around 400 wheel horsepower, Ford 8.8 rear end. We got big things coming for the 8.6. So today we're gonna do a bottom end assembly, crankshaft, pistons, oil squirters, main caps, oil pump install, and possibly rear main if we can get to it. But we'll get right into that and throw you guys some technical numbers out there, torque specs, torque sequences, and whatnot as well. Yeah.
What is the first order of business?
So first order of business, obviously you're gonna want your block cleaned and whatnot. I'd already done that ahead of time. So we're gonna do our oil squirters. That's the first important thing on the bottom end. So you got your 1 through 6 oil squirters. If anybody can find a English manual PDF file for 1JZ, please let us know, because I've had difficulty doing it. I've been having to use Google Translate. So it says 29.9 foot-pounds for your oil squirters. So we are going to go a two-step. We're going to go 15 foot-pounds, 1 through 6, and then we'll go up to the 29.9. Again, we two-step them to help reduce the amount of stress being put on the bolt. Again, these are very small little bolts. Man, that feels crazy. I don't trust that. Probably should just bought new hardware.
Got a little update here. A little bit of a, what you call it, Dallas? Tech tip. Go ahead.
Don't reuse old bolts, especially on these very small ones. So, couldn't really find a correct torque measurement for the oil squirters. What I did find was like 20 foot-pounds. So we started tightening these oil squirters down to 20 foot-pounds for y'all. And, well, it got loose really fast. So we had to do an extraction. It wouldn't be a motor that I built without an extraction. So, used some filler rod to build up a little bit on that stud. And then we welded a little nut onto the top. And it's coming out. So we got most of it out. So we're gonna run up to a hardware store. We're gonna match these thread pitch, probably get a better grade bolt, probably not even an Allen key. We'll probably just go with a hex head. Get something like grade 8, grade 10 if they have it. And replace these, like I should have to begin with.
Yeah, guys, let us do the mistakes so you don't have to.
That's the whole point of watching these videos.
Hell yeah.
We make mistakes for you.
There we go, guys. The guy that ruined our Sunday.
Yep.
Huh. Guys, a little bit of Loctite and a little bit of bolt recovery and a little bit of welding today. We're back on track. Dallas, dude, give him an update.
So it says 20 foot-pounds is what I'm finding online, but we ain't gonna do that. I don't trust that. Even at 15 foot-pounds, it was stretching these bolts. So whatever guide I'm looking at online just isn't reflecting it. So red Loctite, and they're safely torqued to 16 foot-pounds.
And that is what grade bolt?
That's a 10.10 bolt, and it feels like it's spinning in there. There's only a little bit of thread for 20 foot-pounds. So 16 foot-pounds with red Loctite. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Hell yeah, job security. There we go.
So next up, we're gonna put crank and main caps in.
Ooh, it's golden. It's the only type of gold we can afford. Awesome. Back to it.
All right, guys. So we got our engine assembly lube on the bearings. Bearings are standard size. I am not gonna do a crank measurement for you guys. If you guys need to see that with crap, what's that shit called?
What, specs?
Put the crank in, fucking wax. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Oil clearance.
Yeah, oil clearance. It's standard size. It's a JDM import engine. It had 30,000 miles on it, so you know, I just basically ordered standard size for everything. There was no hot spots on the bearings. There was no. Only problem I had was there was water in the cylinders because they took out the spark plugs, and these people store their engines in conaxes and moisture. So all we did was hone out the cylinders, clean up everything, and basically putting OEM parts back in.
Awesome.
So
He's got the gloves on, so shit's about to get serious.
So our crankshaft right here is all cleaned up. Oil galleys have been sprayed out, cleaned out. This sat in a cleaning solution for 4 days. So let's get the crankshaft in. Oh, like a glove. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but my bearings are ACL. I normally order King bearings. I'm a bit biased. I've always used them in the past. They sent me ACL bearings, so we will go ahead and give them a shot. Main caps. We need to put the bearings on, so we'll pause the video and we'll get that done. And then we'll do torque specs, which got the correct torque specs for the main caps. Made sure about that. It's 33 foot-pounds. We'll do torque sequence for you guys, and then again we'll two-step them. We'll do 15 and then 33.
Awesome. Stay tuned.
Guys, so I don't have any ARP graphite. That's usually what I use when I do these main caps. These are OEM main cap bolts. They're good for like 600 wheel horsepower or whatnot. So we're going to use blue Loctite, not red Loctite. So again, just, oh damn, I'm making a mess. A little bit dab on there, and then you're going to put your caps on. So next time you see them, caps will be on. Next step, 1,000 horsepower.
You're gonna need to cage that thing to the fucking brim.
I just want to roll up to the Dragnites and be like that Honda Element, you know, just blow everybody fucking away. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody will know.
It's provocative.
Alright guys, so we're gonna do our torque specs. Manual says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you're basically working your way in equally. So we're gonna do 15 foot-pounds. That was gross. Little quick tech tip, if you want to call it. When I'm torquing, I like to put my finger right here. That way I don't go past the turn. Because if you go past your click, you're over torquing. Give it a little spin, get some lubrication through the bearings onto the journals.
Make sure there's nothing binding.
Exactly.
Make sure it rotates freely.
Alright, so now we're going to do our second step, 33 foot-pounds. And again, same torque sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4. Work your way all the way down to the 14th bolt, outside in. All right, there's your torque sequence. Again, we'll rotate. Feels really good, no binding. All right, so next step, we're gonna get pistons in. Guys, so next big thing is piston ring gap and ring installation. So I ordered a pair of NPR OEM piston rings from driftmotion.com. They specialize in JZ and all other types of makes. So you have your first piston ring right here. We can zoom in on this end right here. That's going to be going facing upwards. Obviously, number one, the bag is marked. That's your piston ring number one. That's your top uppermost ring. So to check piston ring end gap, I already filed these ahead of time. So you come over to the cylinder. You want to slightly push this into the cylinder without marring up your cylinder. And then you want to take the crown of your piston and you want to equally apply pressure into the cylinder for that ring. Now my spec is 17 thousandths. I did that so I can run a little bit more boost. So you take your feeler gauge, find your 17, and you just put it right in there. 18 thousandths won't go in there. So that's what you do. Generally, you have a file machine and you put it on there, and one rotation is a whole thousandths. These are filed by hand. Probably not the most accurate, but
Garage build.
Garage build, 17 thousandths, a little bit more for that. So you're gonna do that for your upper ring and your second ring, your number 2 ring. So to install this, your oil ring, these spread slightly. You don't ever want to overspread it because that little ring will come out and then you got to feed it through again. So I like to just put it at the back end of the crown of the piston and open it up just enough so that I can get it around the crown. And it's in. And you take your rings. It doesn't matter. These ones don't have an upwards or down or mark or anything. Stretch it over the top of your piston, just like that. You want to get the first ring at the bottom groove up underneath that. Just like that. You can do that for both of the rings, upper and lower. Again, get the top one in and just rotate it around evenly.
Are your keys out here or inside?
Inside, baby. Okay. Now you take your number 2 ring right here and get you a pair of these pliers. You can get them at your local auto parts store, okay? So you take it, put the inside of the ring. Again, your end is going to be facing upwards. You put these inside and you spread it. You don't want to overspread it. You want to spread it just enough to where you can get it over there like that and then walk it down into its groove just like that. Now your ring is going to look a little larger, but once it goes down into the cylinder head, it's going to compress to that spec, that 17 thousandths. So if your piston's facing forward, you want to take your rings, and I like to put them 180 degrees out. Guys who assemble, first timers, it's a very common mistake. You'll have that ring gap lined up and that piston won't seal. You have low compression in that cylinder, you think you did something wrong, turns out you're just bypassing the rings against the cylinder wall because those gaps are lined up. So 180 out. Now at some point in the engine, they may rotate around through vibration and whatnot and open up a little, but then again, you know, just through combustion, it's gonna work itself around and go back. They should just never be lined up.
Mm-hmm. So in this case, we have one ring opening on one side and the other ring is on the opposite side.
Yeah. All right, next step is putting bearings on pistons. I'm gonna go ahead and do these as you guys already know how to do that.
Stay tuned, guys.
Got rings on, showed you how to do that. Got our bearings in. You guys know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that and you're watching this video, go watch the 4AG bottom end build on the channel. I walk you guys how to install bearings on pistons as well. So, doing piston number 1, so we want the crankshaft journal facing upwards so it has the least amount of travel. You're going to guide this in. Traditionally, you're going to want long bolts on the side. We can do that with these. Just do a couple quick threads in there. And this is just to help you guide it on.
And be careful with the journal.
These pistons are directional. There's a mark on the top. Obviously you want that to face forward. So once you get your piston centered, you're going to take your hammer right here and you're just going to go to town. Just kidding.
Just beat it.
You want to softly get it down in there. You want to reach down in here. You want to make sure your bolts. You're good. And just like that. Now you might have to do this a couple times because that top piston ring doesn't always compress completely, but we got lucky. So cylinder number 1 is in. You're gonna reach down here. You're gonna take your bolts out. You're gonna come in with your piston, your main cap for your piston rod. See how it's marked? A little paint on the side. Now we know which side that goes into. Alright guys, so our pistons are in place. Now we're going to do torque specs. So 22 foot-pounds with 90 degrees of a turn. So 22 foot-pounds. And we're going to take it to 3 o'clock, do a 90-degree turn. Oh, shoulder.
Shoulder pop.
There we go. That feels a little tight, but that's what the manual calls for. Three o'clock. 6 o'clock. Alright. Now we'll rotate the crank. If I can find the damn tool. There it is. Yeah, mark them when they're done. So these two. And could just mulch in the middle.
Oil. Poor, but you get the idea.
Alright, so cylinder 1 and 6 now. 22 foot-pounds. 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And for those of you asking or wondering why I do 3 to 6, that's the closest to a 90-degree turn. Probably 12 to 3 would be better because that's your 90-degree angle. that would be a 90-degree angle equivalent of 3 to 6. Alright. Lost that damn tool again. This marker don't like oil.
You know. Yeah, different engine builders do it differently. Sometimes they torque the bolts to, 22 foot-pounds, mark them in a straight line, and then turn that line to a 90-degree turn or whatever turn it requests for. They also make a torque angle.
Angle torque wrench.
An angle torque wrench that will also assist you with that. But as you can see, we don't have it, so we're going with what we know. Garage build.
Alright, so that's all done. Put a little oil on there for lubrication. My trusty Valvoline. Oh, nice and smooth. Piston in, cranks in, main caps in, doing a little or a rear main seal. So got the seal in, nice and flush. Those of you building Toyota motors, get you some of this. We didn't use this on the 4AG, the 20 valve. We just used regular like silicone, but this is Toyota factory silicone. JZs have these grooves built in. You want to get all that old gunk out of there. Get your rag and get up in there and clean all of it out. And then just, you don't got to be frugal with it. Fill in that gap all the way around.
Damn, you know it's reliable when it's made by Toyota.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Toyota made silicone.
Yeah.
You know it's reliable. No questions.
Now these pumps, they have a dowel pin. So there we go. Probably should have put the seal on after the holder, but there we go.
Oof, like butter. Rear main torque spec is 52 inch-pounds, which is equivalent to 4.3333 continuous foot-pounds.
So do it hand tight.
For us, hand tight's good.
But not like, hey you guys tight, you know? Those of you who watch the Goonies would understand. Certain things I'm not allowed to say anymore. Alright guys, So the front of this engine block, you got 3 O-rings. You have your water pump, okay, and then you have these 2 O-rings. I don't know sizes. I just have an O-ring assortment kit from work, so I just use those. But do not forget these O-rings. There's also an O-ring on the bottom that goes in between your pan and whatnot. Do not forget that, because you will lose oil pressure and cause your engine to go. Did it again. There we go. Like a glove.
It's almost ready for boost now. Almost.
And those of you watching for the first time, when you disassemble, mark them, put them in baggies. Those of you wondering, I rebuilt the oil pump. It's as easy as, I think it's like 6 screws on the back of the oil pump. You just take it out, replace the gearing. They're pretty much all the same oil pumps. You can get your parts from Drift Motion.
Drift Motion sells the rebuild kit.
Yes.
Awesome. So if you guys need any parts for a 1J,
1J, 2J, all kinds of crap, all kinds of stuff.
is it mostly a Toyota or is it just?
I really haven't explored their website to really know. I just buy what I need from them. I'm sure they offer other stuff. Torque spec for this oil pump is 15 foot-pounds.
Do it in a crisscross pattern just to seat it.
Yeah, just get it equally seated. Yep, so those are all good. Next we'll do the girdle, the pickup tube, and bottom sump. Alright guys, so there's like 3 different oil pans for 1JZ, 2JZ series engines. This is a 2JZ GE oil pan, same as a GTE oil pan. The only difference is you got to drill this out and tap this out for your oil return for your turbos. So this originally engine came out of a Toyota Soarer, and that was a rear sump engine. So I had to buy a front sump oil pan, and I got 2 different front sump oil pans. One's curved and one's more blocky. Once it goes into the 8.6, I will know what correct pan to use on the bottom portion, because this is a 2-piece pan. But yeah, that's why we're going with this pan.
Yeah, pretty much it clears the subframe in the rear section of it, pretty much right here on the subframe in the 8.6. More Toyota approved silicone.
Yeah.
Because Toyota.
And again, I might be using a little bit too much, but I'd rather use too much than not enough. It'll mushroom out and whatnot.
Perfect.
Alrighty, do this.
And yeah, just a reminder, make sure don't forget that O-ring that goes in between the girdle and the block for your oil pickup.
Missing bolts. Okay. Never had an oil pan with so many bolts, man.
Adds to the rigidity of the block because, you know, Toyota.
Alright guys, so we got this pan on. So you have a bunch of 12mm bolts. Those are 15 foot-pounds. These are 14mm. Those are 30 foot-pounds. I can't really find a torque sequence for pan, so I'm just doing what I like to do. I like to start in the middle and then go to the front and then go to the back, kind of like equally
Distributing torque to make sure the pan sits flush and it's not lifted on one end or the other.
And if you feel like you use too much silicone and it mushrooms out the side and you don't like that, you can always trim it once it's dry. I don't recommend trimming it while it's wet. Let it seal. This Toyota stuff works really well. It's very oil resistant. Makes a great seal. We're going to start at the rear. Go to the front. Go to the middle. Oop. Do a little cross action. It's like I've done this before.
Weird. It's like you're a natural.
Alright, now just go and double check. Again, when you're torquing these bolts, a little bit at the end. I know it has a whole hand grip and everything, but to get your most accurate, just a little bit at the end. You don't want the bolt to rotate, you want the ratchet just to click. Alright, next up is going to be our pickup tube. Alright, for your pickup tube, guys, I like to use a little bit of copper spray. That is a metal gasket. It's not, you know, whatever those other gaskets are made of, Teflon or anything like that. So I use the copper spray. Don't ever use silicone because that will get picked up into your pickup tube, and low oil pressure is never good. Now we just gotta find the pickup tube. Yeah, so your girdle goes underneath your pickup tube. That's straight.
Would you call it a windage tray?
Windage tray, splashback tray if you're old school V8. Yeah. So this is going to be as far as we go today. Again, I don't know which pan to use yet. Once I do know, we will do that video of us doing that. I don't like the way that looks.
Stop it.
Yeah, stop. Just stop.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Damn bolts. Me and bolts don't get along.
No. Yeah, that's aluminum too, so.
Here, what do we just line you up with the other holes? Make it simple. And those of you wondering how I get such clean parts, simple green and hot water. That's all I use now. I learned my lesson with Purple Power. Great product for cast iron and whatnot, but it's very caustic against aluminum, and that causes problems. So simple green, I put it in a tote, fill it full of hot water, I let the parts sit in there, and then I just pressure wash them. Guys, bottom end is assembled. Next we'll be doing cylinder head, pulleys, crankshaft install, and whatnot. So stay tuned, and might be a couple weeks, who knows.
What's progress on the head? What are you gonna do with it?
I'm setting the head out to an actual machine shop. I just don't want to deal with it. Again, the engine had between 30,000 and 40,000 miles. Cylinder head's over there. It's in really good condition. It already passed the vacuum test, so reality, I don't really need to replace the valve stem seals, but for comfort and ease of myself, you know, that's something I'm gonna do. So it's gonna have a valve job done, you know, 5-angle valve job. It's gonna be re-shimmed. It's gonna get new valve stem seals, SuperTech valve stem seals. Basically, all OEM stuff is just going back on the engine, just for longevity and ease of use. Again, I'm trying to keep the build around 400 wheel horsepower. We'll see how that goes. But yeah.
But yeah, guys, do like and subscribe to our channel, of course. We'll try to push out as much content that we can. Again, thank you for watching. That's it from me in Dallas. See you guys later.